Hi there, Alice.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And you?
Thank you ever so much for taking a bit of time today to have a chat with me.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I love it.
And whereabouts are you based? Because I know that you're a fellow Brit, but I don't know.
Leicestershire.
Leicestershire. Okay,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, and I work from home, so it's nice to chat to human beings. I have a cat running around me quite often, uh,
Uh-huh.
but they're not as good conversationalists.
Well, but they are
Yep.
very nice to cuddle. So yes, I recently got your lovely Cosmic Mother Tarot, and I was really interested to sort of see it, and it's got quite a different perspective. And I'd also love to hear about the story. Well, perhaps if we start with, how you got into tarot in the first place.
Yeah, of course. I got into tarot when I was really, really young. Um, my dad had been a Church of England vicar, and then he went on to quit the church after him and my mum split up, and he experimented with different faiths, and then he settled on being kind of a goddess worshipping. Well, I think he started off as a goddess worshipper was the
Uh-huh.
actual term, but then that became a Wiccan, and he was a
Mhm.
high priest of his own Wiccan order with his wife. And so they
Wow.
taught me a lot of things. The cats are about to have a fight behind me. I do apologize. Um, so healing, meditation, tarot. And obviously I was quite young. I was 13, 14 years old. So tarot was fascinating,
Yeah.
and all this other, alongside all this other information that my dad was giving me about, life going on and all kinds of quantum physics and spiritual thought and healing, and then tarot is like a way to understand your own life. Of course, as a teenager, I really just wanted to know when I was going to get a boyfriend.
Yep.
That progresses over time. I'm now nearly 40, so my experience and the way I use tarot has completely changed and altered, and it's a really amazing guidance system. So
Yeah.
I mean that's taken however long that's taken to sort of progress to where it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my
Wow.
tarot shell.
That's quite amazing. I mean, a huge change for your dad, but also really nice that you kind of were brought up with that from such a young age. And I guess that's something that you've done as well. Is it just one daughter that you have?
I have two, and they're familiar with tarot. I mean, my daughter Ivy helped design the Cosmic Mother Tarot. She did these beautiful backs, and actually there's a couple of cards in there that she did as well.
Right.
It was a nice way. She just started school, and I missed her, and it was just a real. And my baby was a baby at the time, so she was sleeping a lot. So we'd just sit at the kitchen table, and I would paint my tarot card, and it literally just started as something to do together. There was no intention of publishing them. And she'd copy me, and she'd do her own. So she's got a deck somewhere of. I'll have to get them out, but of all these cards, there were another version of Ivy's version.
Wow.
And that's why a couple of them made it into the pack where I didn't like my own, and I preferred hers. So
So,
yeah,
for example, which ones are some of Ivy's?
right. There's two in there. Oh, it's the Princess of Swords.
Oh, I love the Princess of Swords. She's really cool.
Yeah, she kind of looks a bit like Elsa from Frozen. Familiar. But that was something Ivy quite liked at the time. And there's another one. It's the Four of Wands. I did the face, and Ivy did the rest of it.
Right. Okay.
And also,
Lovely.
she had lots of ideas. For example, the Hierophant, she insisted that I place that rainbow in the background and things like that. So,
Which is lovely. I mean, it gives it quite a different feel to the sort of more patriarchal, institutional, rigid kind of thing. It opens him out and makes him a lot more friendly and approachable, I think.
that's what I wanted from him, because I always struggle with that card. And so the ones that I struggled with, I spent more time on and was more open to sort of twisting and changing and making them different.
Yeah.
And her help was brilliant, because when a 4-year-old asks you to do something on a project you're working together, you can't really say no. So there's lots of her input in there.
Yeah. Lovely. Yes, because I was going to ask as well how old she was with that, because I have a 4-year-old as well, so, and I'm just kind of introducing him to these kinds of things as well, and seeing how that works and what he likes and what he doesn't like and everything like that. So it's an interesting kind of journey as a mother, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, you don't want to push it too much down their throats, like anything. And she did that when she was 4. Now she's got sort of into school and started to experience life on her own terms.
Yeah.
We still every so often, she's very fond of the cards. Sometimes I do quite a lot of live readings on Instagram, and if I try and sneak away from her and do it in like the next room, she is straight in there and wanting to talk to the audience and tell them all about the cards. And I don't do full-on readings. I don't sit and train her to do readings, but I'll do pick a card. I do that with both of them, and they love it. They both come flying over and pick a card, and we have a little chat about what it might mean. And I think that's a helpful tool. I find it helpful, so why not share that with them?
Absolutely. I mean, my son, I've recently just started doing a daily card with him, and at the moment it's with a unicorn deck. I don't know why, but that's like, we tried it with a tarot deck and he didn't really like it or get it, but with the unicorns he's liking it at the moment. So hey, I go with what he likes, like you said. You don't argue with a 4-year-old.
No, you pick your battles.
Quite. And I mean, in terms of the cards, there were a couple that I was quite curious about what was sort of the inspiration, because they're quite different. I mean, for example, the 8 of Cups, that looks like a sort of a figure in a veil. Is that?
Yeah, I guess it's like a Muslim woman.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to be as representative as I could. I really feel that tarot in general are just white. I know there's lots of different packs now, of course there is, and you can get all kinds of different genres and themes, but most of the packs I have, everyone in them is white.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to put different versions of humanity across through my cards, and I hope I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that if I'd was making the cards now, I would do even more so. I'd probably barely have any white people in there, because I think it's representative of the whole gamut of humanity, and that's just not there at the moment in any way. You open a fashion magazine, it's still all white people. So I feel incredibly strongly about that. But yeah, so that was I just went with what came to me, and that card, it always felt like it needed to be a woman in like a Muslim kind of ritual, and people then can go on and make their own meanings about that, and I hope that they will be positive and that they will read that card. It's a rainbow theme to her clothing. But again, I don't want to place my meanings too much on the cards, because one of the things I talk about and teach with my tarot and in the book that I wrote, Dirty and Divine, is that the tarot are absolutely your own experience. And yes, you can go read a guidebook and be inspired by it and take some of it quite literally. I think the best way to read tarot and to learn tarot is through your own experiences, and then placing that upon the cards. But yeah, I just felt that needs to be a particular image. And I went with it.
Yeah, it's funny you say about the sort of diversity, because it's something which in some ways I didn't pick up on, because I think, living in London, you're just surrounded by all kinds of different people all the time anyway. So in some ways it strikes me more when I see a deck that's all white, and then I go, oh, it's all white. And yet when it's mixed, I kind of hadn't actually noticed that. And I'd pulled up a couple of cards that I was curious about, or, was thinking about, and the 3 of Swords was another of those. But my question was more, there only seemed to be 2 swords in the heart, and I hadn't actually noticed that, of course, the woman there is clearly not white, but beautiful with this nose ring and wonderful colours and everything like that. But I was just focused on the number of swords.
There's definitely 3. I think one's down the bottom, and she's like a Black Madonna. Lady, and her the pain of
in case people can see
her is being transmuted into something quite and beautiful.
No, I mean, I think the image overall is lovely.
It needed to be, because that card is so about pain and so about suffering. I really felt like that should be, a woman of colour, because I feel that women of colour have suffered in ways that white women haven't because of our privilege, and that's something that I'm just trying to learn about more and more. I'm quite hungry for that at the moment. I think it's a fascinating new thing that's arising out of spiritual feminism, and that I did that before really that was even on my mind, or before I was learning about this. But I just felt,
Yeah.
someone who's experienced true hardship and to be representative
Yeah.
of that particular card.
Mm-hmm. Another big change that you made was in the court cards, because you have the princess, the queen, the king, and then you have 4, alternating sorcerers and sorceresses. So for the knights, I take it, and it's the swords and the wands are sorcerers, and the pentacles and the cups are sorceresses. Now, I have to say that for me, the sorcerer of wands looks very feminine.
He could be.
He could be.
Why not?
Yeah.
Gender is
Yeah.
a fluid thing.
It is. So yeah, that one's a very, because some of them, like, your sorcerer of wands, it's like he's very clearly quite masculine, and equally you're not going to make a mistake with the sorceress of pentacles. But I guess the cups and the wands, the cups also, I mean, yeah, there is a fluidity, I guess, to a lot of the deck, really. Is that something that was very intentional then?
To an extent, yeah. I feel that like all my work, I kind of channel it, and I'm just really open to all people. I love all people. I want to represent all people. And actually, when I did do the sorcerer of wands, I did question, is this a male or a female? And then I thought, well, I'm going to put him down as a sorcerer, but it really doesn't matter. And people misread it anyway. And I think actually, I did self-publish these cards, and the one error that I found in the book that lays out, I think they're all sorceresses. So whatever you want it to be, whatever suits the person reading. It can be a male, it can be a female, it could be, a transgender person, whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, whatever they want it to be, whatever works.
Quite. And you mentioned self-publishing as well. I mean, how was that experience for you?
Oh, scary. Because, art is not, I'm not, I just doodled with my daughter. So I didn't know anything really about art. My books that I've had have been published by publishers, so that's not something I've had to worry about. So yeah, it was a scary process, and I just put my mind to it and just did it. And yeah, I don't know if I'd do it again. Not because it was terrible or horrific, but it just having to continually promote them. Yeah. As much as I enjoy doing things like this, I find it difficult, and it doesn't necessarily equate to sales. And I'm a mum, I'm busy, I haven't got time for this. So if I ever did do another pack of cards, I'm actually designing an oracle card pack. But I actually, after 10 years of writing, have now got myself a literary agent. So I'm hoping that she might find somebody who wants to publish that. So
yeah, because definitely, self-publishing, as you say, especially in promotional terms, is quite hard work. Though I had a chat with another author last year who, has an agent and is published by, regular publisher, and she said that she actually notices how more and more authors are expected to self-promote even when they do have a contract. Is that something?
Completely. I have enough of that. I do that with my books, and it's really important. And obviously with social media, there's this constant pressure on you to build your following, and that's fine, because I quite enjoy that to an extent anyway. But yeah, it's just another thing, especially when you are completely alone and isolated with it. And little things like this, like I told you, that mistake with the sorcerer and the sorceresses in the write-up bit inside the card. That's my doing, because I didn't have an editor to check it for me. So just it's all on you when you self-publish. So I'm really glad I did it, and it was a fun thing to make real for Ivy. To show a child as well that you can create something and you can make it, and then people will be interested. Yeah. And nobody else needs to approve. You don't need a publisher's consent, or you just do it because you can. And I think that's a good message.
Nice lesson for them. Yeah, definitely. So thinking about the cards themselves, were there any that you found particularly difficult? I mean, quite a few people have said that, when they're working on one particular card, something around the energy of that card may come up for them in their lives, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I found I think the knights were difficult. That's why they became sorceresses and sorcerers. Just not mad on the knight energy. I don't think I ever have been. So they kind of transformed, and I thought, oh my God, do what I want. Self-publishing, yay. That's another thing is, it's nice to just do it how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Let me have a quick look. There were certain cards. The Four of Cups, I struggled with that one. Which is kind of where I was as well at that particular point in time, kind of in my own space and wanting to reach out but wanting to stay close. And Temperance, cards that I've always just generally struggled with.
Interesting. I actually had pulled Temperance out as well.
I think there was a few versions of that before I agreed myself.
What's your struggle with Temperance? It's one of those ones, not quite as much as the Hierophant perhaps, but quite a few people either have a love-hate relationship with it. I mean, for example, I absolutely adore Temperance, but I have heard, I did a talk at the UK Tarot Conference last year, partly on Temperance, and it was amazing how many people were like, yeah, I don't like Temperance, not at all, don't like it. And my first, proper teacher also absolutely loathed Temperance. So
yeah, it's the kind of card that when I pull it out of the deck, I just go, oh God, all right then. To me, it's patient. It's in a nutshell. It's saying be patient. I'd love to hear your talk and to see what your take on it is, for why you love it. Because I feel like it comes up when it's trying to make me temper myself, and I don't always want to. I want to get going and get busy and have, everyone we do, don't we? We want things to happen now. And they never do. And so Temperance is always very appropriate and just frustratingly so.
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of think of the Hanged Man a little bit more like that of, you're stuck, you just can't do anything right now, you've got to just wait and see. Whereas for me, Temperance is much more about healing and having to get the right mix of ingredients for something. Like, you have to get things at the right time and the right amounts. So it's kind of, it can be really difficult. I mean, like, buying a house, it's like, this one falls through because, the next person in the chain couldn't do it, and then you find another one and that one isn't working because now your solicitor is being slow or whatever. It's like, for me, that's the kind of Temperance thing. You have to get exactly the right ingredients at the right time, otherwise it all falls apart. But it also has a very healing side to it, I think, as well.
Yeah, you're right. I like this. It's expanding my mind towards Temperance a little bit. I think I've been very closed down to that particular card for a long time, so I like that. I'm gonna think on that actually.
Yeah. I mean, like another person who I know quite well, Stephen Bright, did the Spirit Within tarot.
Yeah.
And in that one, he's got it as a DJ mixing two records.
Mixing the ingredients.
And it's that thing, he has like lights in the background are kind of orange and purple, and then the records are orange and purple in an opposite, so it's almost like a yin yang kind of thing. And it's that idea, when you're mixing records, you have to get the tempos right and the beats right, and are you going to go into a chorus from a chorus, or are you going to go into the beginning and the end, or where do you get it? And if you do it wrong, then it kind of clashes and it sounds a bit bad. But if you get it right, then it's this beautiful smooth flow that just feels wonderful. And I really like that image too.
Yeah, I really like this. It's really padding out my understanding of Temperance. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I think we often get kind of, like, I have a thing about the Tower, for example, and for me, that's one of my, eye roll cards. And I get, what people say, that it can be a great thing to, wake you up. And I really liked in your one, you have a bell in the tower. Is that right? And
yes.
That one was one of those ones that for me, it was like, yeah, okay, it can kind of ring your bell and make you think about things in a different way. And yes, I recognise that's good. It's just that for me, it's so often come up in a really kind of way. And so yeah, that was another card I really liked.
Card, but I do like the Tower. Sorry, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? How people, I guess it's your own life experiences and how you apply them to the cards and the things that you then associate. make you love them or hate them.
Yeah, but then it's also, this is one of the reasons why I like a variety of decks. It is seeing those different approaches to it, and it can kind of expand your interpretation of it, a bit like you were saying about when you teach in, is it Dirty and Divine?
Yes, it's Dirty and Divine. That's the that's like, I don't know if you know about it. It's basically just I went through a tarot deck, a card a day. Sometimes it lasted a bit longer, and wrote my own experiences of them, and
Right.
it was quite the journey. Quite a lot of crazy, traumatic, difficult stuff happened, and you know, it was almost like, well, why am I writing this as a book to be published? But I did, and hopefully people will take something from my journey and then apply it to their own as well. And yeah, it
sounds fascinating. Yeah, lovely. Oh. So, were there any cards that were especially easy or wonderful for you?
Oh gosh, yeah, I really enjoyed them. I really liked Strength. She just popped right onto the page. She was done in seconds. I really like the Hermit. I'm really feeling this at the moment.
I loved the Hermit.
Nobody ever mentions the Hermit. People will tell me their favourite. People like the Death card. People always say they like the Death card.
The Death card is stunning. It kind of has a Tarot of the Crone feel. That kind of the night sky inside of her is just fabulous. I love it.
But I really like the Hermit, and maybe that's because that's where I feel that I am currently. Obviously, I love I didn't even do that one, but the Princess of Swords, because I did.
But I really love the Hermit as well, because she's kind of in a cave by the side of the water, so it's that in-between liminal space, and I thought that was a really beautiful addition to it. In some ways a mountaintop is a liminal space as well. It's kind of in the air and it's kind of on the earth, so it has that liminality, but you've brought in the water as well, and that was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. And then, I like the King of Cups. Everyone likes the King of Cups. You just want to kind of hang out with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like quite a lot of them. They just bring back good memories, to be honest, just looking at them, of, painting them and being really chilled out about it. Because like I said, it wasn't something that I did in the first place to publish. And if I had it done, I might not have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I might have put more effort in, which then led to it becoming a stressful process. The images would have changed and become something that I didn't want them to be.
Yeah.
Kind of like him.
Yeah, he looks a little bit confused, and you're not quite sure, is he like holding up the drink because he desperately needs one after everything that's been going on?
Like maybe one too many. I kind of like that about him. He's doleful kind of look to him, but
yeah.
I like.
It's fun.
I like her. It has so many versions of that exact same picture, and so I was happy. But I just had this idea for that particular image, and which is annoying because a lot of them just happened really naturally, and they just were there. Whereas her, I had this image, I had to do that particular picture, and then when you do that, you can never quite get what's in your head to the paper. But eventually, I was happy with her. I like the Emperor because talking about cards that I struggled with. I really struggled with the Emperor. The first couple of versions of him that I did were like vile. He was horrible, patriarchal. There was blood, there was skulls, he was naked, his willy was out. Honestly, he was literally not very nice card. And then I thought, hang on, this isn't my take on the patriarchy and on masculinity. And I thought, and actually I know a lot of lovely men, and I've had a lot of wonderful, amazing experiences with men, and actually I want the Emperor to be a representation of the divine masculine in the same way that I would see the Empress as the divine feminine. Yeah. So he got upgraded, and he's all fancy and nice now.
He is lovely. He's still very masculine and powerful, but also in a quite, I don't know, gentle but powerful way, I'd say. Yeah. He doesn't seem like forceful, he seems strong, and that's a difference.
Strong, creative and loving and protective. And that's me and my girls.
I wondered actually, it's funny because I actually had that's another of the cards I had pulled out to ask about. Yeah. So that's you and your girls, lovely, a little sort of family portrait.
Yeah. And let me see, there's so many, isn't there? It's hard to just hold. Oh, there seems to be 2 hermits in this pack. Well, that's because I have that, because they're obviously my own cards, and I've opened a couple of packs over time, and then they get mixed up.
Mhm.
And so now some 200.
That's a message.
For me, I can take that.
Yeah.
And then this one, I always kind of think are down the bottom. The two little guys at the bottom is me and my husband.
Uh-huh.
And we walked quite the tricky path this year. He had a heart attack.
Oh.
He's okay now. He's in recovery. He ended up in rehab for a while.
Oh,
Honestly,
dear.
it's been quite the year.
It
But we're
sounds like it.
finally getting there. And the cards are kind of reflecting that. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And you said that at the moment you're working on an oracle deck, is that right?
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd carry on doing it. And obviously, with having a literary agent, I just put it to her that I was doing these pictures. And obviously, as a writer, I'm very happy to also write it all up.
Yeah.
Do you want to see some of the images?
I would love to.
I mean, these are just the most recent ones.
Uh-huh.
These ones I designed on tiny, tiny little pieces of card, like about that big.
Uh-huh.
Whereas these I did obviously on big paper. Oh, that's not one of mine. Have a look. This one I did today.
Uh-huh. Lovely.
So they're all, it's just a work in progress, really. It's nice to have bigger papers
Canvases.
on,
Yeah.
detail in, and then I can,
Wow, fierce.
yeah, when I can write them up, I can
Uh-huh.
apply, I guess, a different level of knowledge as well. We have a few.
Amazing.
I mean, it's difficult. It's not difficult. I just do them. I just quite enjoy them. Like I said, I'm not a trained artist in any respect, and they're kind of, I like the rawness. And if we'll see if anyone else does. If anyone wants to actually publish them, and if painting them.
Yeah. Well, either way, it will have been a good project for you and something enjoyable to do. So long as you are just doing it in, like you said before, not stressing about it, then hey,
That's it. I mean, I just have to create, and sometimes these days I haven't got the energy to write. Writing takes a lot more out of me, so I like to paint. And
well, I think it's just good to change things up anyway.
Yeah.
If you were painting all the time, it would be exhausting to paint.
That's exactly right. That's a good one. If I've been painting for the last 10 years, I'd be writing now. So, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you ever so much for taking time to have a chat with me today, Alice. It's been lovely to meet you and fascinating to hear about your deck and everything.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.